I want to tell you a story from Silicon Valley. Last week, I spent the whole week there, and I was with one of the most prominent investors in Silicon Valley, and unfortunately I can't name which one, but suffice it to say a name that you all know. And I was talking to him about a deal in Los Angeles that I want to finance. And it's one for which I've already submitted a term sheet, and I am trying to get a Northern California investor who wants to co-invest with me in this particular company. And he said to me, and I can't name the company and I can't name the investor, but I think the story hopefully will sit in your minds. He said to me, I love the founder. I've known him for 10 years. This is a monster. This is a guy who can build something big. Hallelujah. Number two, I love this space. This is a space that is going to be an important part of the internet infrastructure going forward. I would love to invest in this space. So I'm feeling pretty good by this point. I'm pretty much thinking I got the guy, well, it's not me raising money, so I shouldn't take credit for it, but I think I got my partner, right? And then he said, but I have one gating item that I'm not sure about. I'm not sure if you can build a big technology company in Los Angeles. It is a legitimate concern, and it's one we all need to be aware of. I want to tell you a second quick story. This one I will name names because he was publicly saying this. I was at an event with John Miller. John Miller is one of the more senior people in media meets technology in Los Angeles. And he was speaking openly about the future of MySpace and about the future of development, because they're doing a lot of development in San Francisco. And I said to him, what do you think the right strategy is? If you could do it all over again, would you build a team here? Would you build a team in San Francisco? Or would you have a distributed team? And how much of your energy going forward is going to be LA versus San Francisco? And he said, I'd love to tell you that our strategy is LA, but it's not. He said, if I want to recruit 10 or 15 people, I can hire those people like that in LA. But if I need to scale 50 or 80 or 120, I'm not convinced that LA can support it. So I'm not here to kick you guys in the face when you're down. I'm part of this community. I've done 6 investments in the last 18 months. 5 of them have been in Southern California. 4 of those have been in Los Angeles. 2 of those are in this room recruiting people today. So I'm committed to this market, but no amount of meetups is going to build LA. There's one thing that is going to take LA to the next level, and that is a patron company. And by a patron company, I mean an important part of the internet ecosystem, internet infrastructure that grows fast, becomes large, monetizes, and sucks in resources and sucks in business development partnerships. It's what MySpace could have been, should have been, was for a brief moment, is no longer. It's what Overture should have been, was, didn't quite survive, and didn't become everything it could have and should have been. And we need that in LA. And once that comes, I think everything will follow behind it, like you see Dell originally created Austin along with AMD, and Microsoft and Amazon and several companies in Seattle. And if you think about it, even fucking Seattle has patron companies, for God's sake. And we're a city of 16 million people. We are the second largest DMA in the world, and there is only one way we're going to get a patron company. Well, let me say 2. Number 1 is if our best technology resources, and I'm afraid to say, and I don't program anymore, I did 20 years ago, I was a master at COBOL, and DB2, DB2 scheme designs. And so I'm not that person, but the business people in this room, you will not create a patron company in Los Angeles unless you have tech DNA, unless it's a large part of what you do, and unless you're really committed to hiring the best and brightest and growing them. That is the only way. And we've seen some sad defections. We saw David Sachs come down here, COO of PayPal, Bill Genie down here, and then come up with Yammer, only to publicly disown LA and move back to Northern California because he said he didn't believe he could do it in LA. I will tell you, I'm absolutely convinced it can be done in LA. Absolutely convinced of it. So I want to tell you what I said to this very famous VC. I said, if you fund this company, if I fund this company, I'm convinced it's going to be the biggest company in Los Angeles. I love all my babies, all my portfolio companies, and all of them are going to be big. This is going to be a fucking monster. And what I said is, these guys are going to suck so many great tech resources from all over the country, and it's going to be a net positive because LA will not get a big sucking noise of people from Silicon Valley down here. But we have Caltech, UCLA, USC, Claremont McKenna, on and on. 10 I'm not thinking of. But we can also bring people from Carnegie Mellon and Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech and Rochester Polytechnic. I mean, for fuck's sake, are people going to live in Rochester or LA? We can pull those people together, and I think that is what will make this succeed. So my final story is to the CEO of this company, who's not here tonight. I said to him, how did your first company succeed? And he said to me, I started in LA, I worked with LA companies, and I was always in their backyard, and I got all my first leads from LA companies. And to be honest, at the time it was Idealab. Idealab was a big deal. And Bill Gross still is a big deal. I think he's the biggest thinker we have in Los Angeles. And if you've ever spent time with him, I mean, the guy's just an idea a minute. I'm blown away. And he said, I just focused on Idealab companies, and I just knocked them over one by one. And that's what a community is, and that's what an ecosystem is. So the only ask that I have, first of all, if you're a developer, is think about the commitment to Los Angeles, because you will be a much bigger fish in a smaller pond, and you will be able to stand out if you build great companies. If you're building a company and raising capital, stand your ground if Silicon Valley investors tell you you must move to NorCal. We have a dearth of VC in this town, you know that. I mean, there are like 5 checkbooks in all of town. And VCs will tell you we want you to move. But when I talk to Michael Crandell, who's building a very important company, he's building a company called RightScale, but he's building it in Santa Barbara where he lives. He said the investors, when they wrote their $13 million, they wrote an $11 million check and then a $13 million check behind it. They said, you have to come to Silicon Valley. And he said, get stuff. And if you have resolve, and if they're interested and you're doing interesting things, they will arm twist, but they will relent, they will give up. If you say, I'm going to build a big business in LA, if you're interested in investing in me, this is where I am. But you have to have that resolve. But my ask of you is this. Start by creating relationships with other LA-based companies. It is what gave this individual that I can't name his first big break. He did all the deals in LA with the people he could in LA. So find ways to work together, to help get bigger, to build your biz dev, to build your revenue, to build your product, and help to create the LA ecosystem, because there's not a single person in this town who can do it on their own. So thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for hosting. I appreciate it.